Welcome into our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. And we're going to take a look at the late pick 4 on the Gulfstream card, which includes 2 stakes races on Saturday. But it starts with an allowance optional claiming event at a mile. And pretty salty group here. Jim, who did you like?
Yeah, it's a nice race, and I really thought this was a spread race for the pick 4. Top Billing was my first choice, but he's been off since August of 15, so you got to figure that Sugar's going to get him a race here, and he was on the Derby Trail in 2014, and really was well thought of. Went off as the favorite in the Fountain of Youth, and then had some issues and came back last year and ran okay, but he's been off since August, so I wouldn't take him singled on top, but I would certainly use him. Forward, the one horse transfers to Carl Nasker, who used to be a great trainer but was 0 for 17 in 2015. All these horses that I'm going to mention I like, but I have a reason not to like them. It's kind of hard to separate them. The 2-horse More Applause is a closer, and there is a lot of speed in this race. It might set up well for him, so I would use the 2 as well. I would use the 3, Abounding Legacy, going back to the mile race at Gulfstream. 2 races back exactly at this level, won by 3 3/4. So if I were trying to single here in the pick 4, Abounding Legacy with Paco Lopez would be my choice. They put him in the Sunshine Millions Classic last time out at a mile and 1/8. He was overmatched and ran too far. So at a mile, he's 2 for 3. He's 3 for 8 at Gulfstream. So Abounding Legacy would be my top choice here. But I would also use the 1 and the 2. I would use the 6, and probably throw in the 8 for Todd Pletcher. You never want to throw out a Todd Pletcher horse. And Chippett's a very lightly raced horse. Just got beat by Squadron A last time here at this level at 7 furlongs, stretches out to a mile. So that would be my 5 horses I would use in a pick 4, 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, with a little star by Abounding Legacy, the 3.
I'm going to take, I think, 4 horses in here. I like Abounding Legacy a little bit. I like Top Billing. I think Elongated Sprint may end up being the best ticket for this horse, because he's certainly not a 6 furlong horse, but they've tried running him, mile Pimlico Special type distance, mile 3/16. I didn't think he was as good there. I like the workout pattern. I think he could potentially run big first off the layoff for Shook, but I'm going to take him on my ticket. And then the 2 Pletchers. J.S. Bach is a horse I know they've had a high opinion of, and he's coming off a layoff. So just on the stable's feeling about this horse in the past, I'm going to include him on there, and then the stable 8 Chip at the 8. So 3, 6, 5, 8 are the ones for me in that race. The 11th is the Spectacular Bid, 3-year-olds going 6.5 furlongs. I like Dan, the go-to man in here, the 8 horse. I like the fact that Castellano stays on for the second start off the layoff. And in the second race of his career last fall at Keeneland, beat a really nice field, and they put him in a stakes race off that. So tells you that this horse was highly thought of. But I also like Morning Fire, the 4, Extravagant Kid, the 5, Epic Journey, the 7, are the other ones I would consider in there. But I like Dan, the go-to man, a good bit, the 8 horse. How about you?
I'm right with you. I thought that Castellano taking him back, and I thought the race Outwork that he lost to is a nice horse, and he comes back off that tightener at Keeneland. He ran in the stakes race and didn't do that well, but his maiden special weight was very impressive at Keeneland on a made track, and he's had a little time to mature, and Eddie Canelli gets him ready. So I think Dan, the go-to man, it also sets up well. He can track the speed from outside. There's a lot of speed in this race with John Q. Public, Epic Journey, Morning Fire, all of them trying to go to the lead, and probably Union Val from the 1 hole. So the other horses that I liked, Tiger Blood was very impressive. His 2 races at Tampa, don't know if he'll transfer the form over to Gulfstream and jumping to a stakes race off an optional claimer, but he won by 9 1/4 and 5 1/2. So you got to take a look at him. And I would also use Morning Fire just on the chance that he may clear out. There's a lot of speed in here, but he may be the best speed. Epic Journey also has a shot. Lightly raced horse going up in distance and up in buyer figures from 58 to 79 to 87. So I would probably stick with a 2, 7, 8 here, Tiger Blood, Epic Journey, Dan the go-to man, but I would play Dan the go-to man, the 8 on top.
12th race is the Grade 2 Inside Information. 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares going 7 furlongs. And this is a really deep group, I thought. You had some horses that competed in the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland last fall. Who did you go to?
I did. You look at the pick four, you've got to pick one race to narrow down. I did narrow this one down to two horses, although I can make a case for obviously the back class of some of the others. I stuck on Stonetastic, the 8, for my top choice. Had a nice prep race in Miami Shores and won by 5 with Paco Lopez up, and he takes it back. And I mean, this horse has been she's been very consistent. 1 for 2 at Gulfstream. Has not won at the distance. That's one thing that kind of concerns me at the 7 furlong distance. But a couple of races just jump out at you. A 108 and 109 buyer in her past performances. So she's capable of running a huge race, and she may be set up for that today in her second off a layoff. The other horse in here, Bar of Gold for John Kimmel, almost won the Raven Run last year at Keeneland, and is coming off that layoff. Hasn't run since then, but she runs the Grade 1 test, the Grade 2 Prioress at Saratoga, and then the Raven Run. Ran second in all 3 of them, to Cavorting and to Sarah Sis. So Bar of Gold's got a lot of back class. The layoff concerns me just a little bit, but I would stick with those 2. 6 and 8 in the pick 4. Tiger Ride for Graham Motion, you always got to consider her, and she won the Valley View last year at Keeneland, but she again hasn't been out since October. I would include her in bigger tickets, but I would stick with the 6 Stonetastic, or the 8 Stonetastic, and the 6 Bar of Gold.
Those are the 2 that I think are the ones in here too. And if you're going deeper, I think Wolfson's got 3 in here that I think are worth considering. Kiss to Remember was in the Breeders' Cup. Best Behavior, Miss Melinda, you bought her the 2, but I would feel comfortable sticking with a 6 and the 8 as well. Bar Gold, who I like to actually win the race. 13th race is a maiden claimer on the turf, and I didn't really have a strong opinion in here. I would say go as deep as you could, as your budget allows. In order, I liked Diploma, the 4, Ransack, the 6, Absolute Pinnacle, the 8, and the 10, Salt Mine, who improved significantly in this last start, so could be an interesting long shot play. If your budget affords it, go all. But I would take those 4, and then they're in that order, however you want to play it on your ticket. So I would take the 3 horses I liked in the first leg for my ticket, 6, 5, and 8. I'd take those 4 in the last leg, and then in the middle, what I like to sometimes do is mix and match. I could single Dan the go-to man and then go 6 deep in the inside information, and then I could play another ticket and use Dan the go-to man plus the other 3 I liked, and then only use Bar of Gold and Stonetastic. So that's kind of how I'm thinking of it. You could play however your budget allows, but if I was going on a small budget, I'd take the 3 in the first leg. I'd single Dan the go-to man, use Bar of Gold and Stonetastic, and then go 4 deep in the last leg. How about you?
I basically did my pick 4 with the 2 horses in the stakes race, the 6 and the 8, Stonetastic, yep. And I think that's the best opinion that I have with Stonetastic and Bar of Gold. So I'm going to stick with those 2. I'm going to go in the first race with 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, the 5 horses I about. Then with 2, 7, 8, Tiger Blood, Epic Journey, and Dan the Go-To Man in the second leg with 6, 8. And then in the last leg, when you say maiden claiming on the turf, Gulfstream has a habit of putting these races in the last segment because they want to keep that pick 6 going. I don't know if anybody is looking at the Rainbow pick 6, but as of today, it's over $3.3 million carryover, and they've got to pay it out on the 26th. So they have a vested interest in not letting that thing get hit by a single ticket. So they throw these races in there where you can just start. I would go 3 deep in the last race, and that would keep my ticket to $45, and then you just multiply by $15 if you want to add other horses. I would go the 6, Ransack. Ramsey likes to win races. He puts them where they're supposed to, and this horse seems to fit at $35,000. The 10, Salt Mine, who did improve a lot last out at this level and almost won. And then you've got to throw in Irish Major, the 13 for Castellano and Weaver, if he gets in. So I would go 6, 10, 13. I would add horses as I could afford them, including Diploma the 4, possibly Giant Red, the first-time starter for Joe Sharp, and then I could let go of the rest of them. Velasquez is riding for Peter Walder, Absolute Pinnacle the 8, so you can make a case for a lot of horses in the last. But if you want to go 3 deep, I will go 6, 10, 13.
So that's the way we look at the late pick 4 at Gulfstream Park. You've also got the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes on the road to the Derby coming up at Oaklawn on Saturday, and a couple of other stakes races out there. Some great cards this weekend as you mix in basketball and horses on the road to the Derby and the Final Four. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and that's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.